Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to a new video. I hope you guys all are having a great day so far, and this video might make it a little bit better. Today I'm starting a brand new YouTube series. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to call it, but this is the first episode of my contest prep series. So I'm going to do this series a bit different than what I've done in my past videos. So kind of what I'm going to do in this video today is explain to you like kind of what my split is going to look like for my contest prep, at least for this first mesocycle. So most of my mesocycles will be about 5 weeks long with like 4 weeks of training and then a 1 week deload, which is just a 4-to-1 paradigm. That's usually what I do in most of my other training. It could also be that I do like a 5-week training and then 1 week deload. So it would be a 5-to-1 paradigm instead. And the only reason I would do that is to allow for something like a 3-to-1 paradigm towards the end of my prep, when I'm doing a lot more metabolite techniques, when my food's a lot lower and I could just use deloads more often. So, there's a couple different things that are kind of up in the air, but today I'm going to talk to you about my split and also kind of like the overall layout of my prep. So on a more overall note, if you guys don't know, I'm going to be coached by Sam Okanola throughout this prep. As far as training goes, I'm kind of doing most of the training myself, but I'm also going to be referring to Sam for any questions or any changes Sam might make to my training. There could totally be some changes in there because I've never gone through a contest prep before, so I'm definitely not expecting to be like a professional at the training aspect of it, and for sure not the nutrition aspect of it, and that's really what Sam's gonna help me the most on. So he's like giving me prep macros and like cardio to do, making sure my weight loss goes at a steady rate, making sure it progresses in the right fashion, making sure I'm not like losing weight way too fast or not losing weight at all or something like that, just to make sure that I end up at the right place when show day actually comes around. And speaking of show day, the show I'm planning on doing is the NANBF Gateway National Show, which is here in St. Louis. So it's actually at the Ameristar Casino, which is like 20 to 25 minutes away from where I am right now, which is super convenient, really excited for it. And this prep in total is going to be about 18 weeks long. So Sam and I had talked about either doing a 20-week prep or a 16-week prep. So the 20 weeks we decided not to do because I'm already pretty lean and him and I decided that I didn't really need 20 weeks in order to do the whole thing. And instead we were thinking about doing more like 16 weeks, but as I have like a wedding to go to this summer and would probably appreciate a diet break at some point throughout this prep, we decided to go with 18 weeks, which I think is gonna work perfect. So really excited for that. But as I was saying, I'm moving into my first week of prep. So today, May 23rd, is the start of my contest prep. It feels really weird to say that because I've never done this before, and it's gonna be completely new territory for me. So I haven't gotten ever like stage lean before. I haven't cut my calories down that low. I haven't done any cardio on any fat loss phases ever. I've only done step counts, and to start, I'm only doing step counts, but I assume at some point throughout prep, if I need to lose some body weight a little bit faster, then we might start implementing some cardio if we want to keep like more food in and stuff like that. So it's definitely completely a new territory for me to go into, but I'm super excited for it. It's gonna be a great challenge, and I think it should be a lot of fun. And as far as starting macros go, I'm sure you guys are gonna be interested in that. But one little disclaimer I'm gonna have for you guys as far as the macros go, as far as the training goes, as far as really anything that I'm doing during prep, I'm doing the things that I'm doing during prep for a lot of reasons that are very individualized to me. So anything that I'm doing should not be something that you just copy and do for yourself as well, because you are a completely different person. You are a different trainee than me. You might need less food, you might need more food than me, or you might need to implement cardio sooner in a fat loss phase as compared to what I'm doing. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Don't copy it, don't apply it to what you're doing. Make sure you take an individualized approach to yourself in your own training. And also, as far as programming goes, there's no special program. What I'm doing is nothing special, but what I'm doing is special to me because it's individualized to me. But what I'm doing is not like any sort of perfect split. Really, the split that works best for you is the one that fits best around your schedule and something that you'll be able to adhere to and be able to make good progress on. So it's really important that you take an individualized approach to just about anything with bodybuilding, and training, programming are just two instances of this individualization that you should be taking as far as your bodybuilding journey goes. Now that we got the disclaimer out of the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about my program. I'm also going to go train here in just a bit, so I'm going to take you guys through my training session today. I'll probably do a voiceover for that as well, explain more of the in-depth parts about what I'm doing on different exercises, what sort of cues I'm focusing on in order to get a good stimulus to fatigue ratio and things like that. But this is going to be a much more overall cut and dry what I'm doing during the week. So during this first mesocycle of my prep, this is of course my first cutting mesocycle. I just moved out of maintenance. But what I'm doing is basically push-pull legs twice a week, so I'll be training 6 days per week. But I'm organizing this a little bit differently. So I'm actually starting my week with pull, and then I'm having push on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday, and then pull, push, legs for the rest of the week, and then off on Sundays. The reason I do this is because I want to train one of my leg days at Fit City, which is the other gym that I go to. For the most part, I go to the rec center here on my campus because I don't have a car and it's the most convenient for me. So as far as adherence goes and using the same machines, which I think is really important as far as training goes, I'm going to be at the rec for most of my days, but on Wednesday, I'm planning on going to Fit City so I can use their pendulum squat, which I really like. I've recorded that obviously in many of my other videos, but I really like that machine and I would really like to go train at Fit City at least 1 day per week. Maybe I'll be able to train with Sam on that day. I kind of hope so, but we will see. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing on today, which is Monday. So I'm doing my first pull day today. So this is going to be a more horizontal focused back day. So usually I have 2 back days throughout my week. If I'm really emphasizing back, then I'll do three back days per week. And if you're emphasizing anything on a mass phase, I really do recommend upping the frequency because you can just do more total volume, recover from more training, and just get better growth on that muscle group probably. What I'm doing right now is back twice a week because I'm not going to emphasize anything. Emphasizing anything on a prep is a pretty dumb idea unless you're running a lot of gear. But of course, I'm natural and I'm not going to be gaining any muscle throughout this prep, probably at least. The main goal is just to maintain the lean tissue that I have and just lose as much fat as I can. And the training is kind of what you use in order to not lose any of the muscle mass that you've gained throughout the mass phases or maintenance or whatever. So anyways, I guess I just have a lot to say today. But on the pull day today, I have seated calves to start my workout. I'm doing calves 3 days per week. I really want to maintain a decent amount of calf size. I feel like my calves are bigger than quite a few bodybuilders that I've seen. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to change on stage. Maybe I'll lose a bunch of size on my calves, but as far as I can tell, I've grown my calves enough to have them be somewhat of a standout muscle group in comparison to most of the bodybuilders I've seen. Of course, I don't know exactly what sample of the population I'm going to be competing against or anything like that, but I'm starting with calves on this pull day, and then I have some bent rows. So I really enjoy the bent row. I think it's probably one of the best back exercises there is. And of course, it's not very focused on any specific muscle group. So the stimulus to fatigue ratio of it isn't that great. So it does come with some fatigue, but it also comes with a shit ton of back stimulus that doesn't go to just one muscle group. It goes to a bunch in the back. The lats, rhomboids, traps, teres major, a bunch of different muscle groups in there, and gets really, really good stimulus. So I think it's a pretty good bang for your buck. I'm not exactly sure how long I'll be keeping the bent row in my program. There could be a point where I take it out or I do something like increase the rep range or something like that. But for the bent row, for the time being, I'm keeping it in the 6 to 10 rep range. I'm still doing some decently heavy bent rows. But then other than that, I don't have any super heavy horizontal rows throughout the week. The other horizontal rows that I do are lighter, like machine or CD cable rows or whatever. But the next exercise I have are machine rows. So this is going to be an exercise that's going to be slightly more targeted to a specific muscle group. But of course, rows in general are typically training more than one muscle group. On that exercise, I'm doing 10 to 20. I'm doing 3 sets on that exercise. Also going back to the other 2 I just talked about, I'm doing 3 sets on calves, 2 sets on bent rows, and then 3 sets on these machine rows. The reason I have 2 sets on bent rows is to have a little bit less volume on that exercise, just so I don't have a shit ton of fatigue. And from 2 sets, I can get quite a lot of stimulus, and because I'm not doing like a shit ton of sets on there, I'm not going to gain that much fatigue. And on the machine rows, I have 3 sets because it's not quite as like loading and taxing on the body. It doesn't load the lower back at all. I have 3 sets on there just to get a little bit more stimulus. And then to end off my back training for this day, I have some lat pull downs, and I'm gonna have 3 sets on there in the 10 to 20 rep range. And then moving on, I just have some biceps and some forearms for the rest of the session. So I have some incline dumbbell curls in the 8 to 12 rep range. That's a rep range that feels really good to me. Incline dumbbell curls are especially just fucking destroy you. There's no better way to say it. Like, incline dumbbell curls will make me sore for like 4 days. I did incline dumbbell curls last week, like Monday or Tuesday, and I was like, my biceps were sore until Friday. So yeah, that's an exercise that I really like. That's also an exercise because it's so eccentrically loading, because it's a lengthened position for the biceps. That's somewhere where I have to be a little bit more, cautious about the amount of volume I use, just so I don't get incredibly sore. But to start, I think I'm doing like 3 sets. It could be 2 sets. If I get a really good pump from 2 sets, I'll stop there. But then moving on, I've machined preacher curls, which are going to be in a higher rep range. It's going to work the shortened position of the bicep, and that's in the 15 to 20 rep range, so a bit higher in the rep ranges as far as that goes. And we have 3 sets there. And then to end off the workout, we have some dumbbell forearm curls, and that's going to be the 10 to 15 rep range at 3 sets. Forearm training is something that I really didn't start doing until this past mass, and I think it benefited me a lot. I don't really have the biggest forearms, so I think it's really important to train them, and I obviously don't want to lose any of that forearm size that I gained throughout this cut phase, so I'm including a little bit of dumbbell forearms in my training program. But that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing today. All of my exercises are going to be at about 3 reps reserve. That's usually just where I start my mesocycles as far as proximity to failure goes, and I think it's going to be a really good workout. I am probably not going to take any like caffeinated pre-workout today. I'm probably just going to take some nitric, and I'll definitely be pretty conservative with the pre-workout this week because it's my first week. Something that I've seen some other people do is just not have any pre-workout at all during the first week of their mesocycle. But because I'm dieting now and because I'll be losing weight, I think having a little bit of pre-workout before my sessions would probably not hurt, and if anything, it would benefit me a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing today. Every other video that I record, I'm going to walk you guys through the workout that I'll be doing in that day and explaining anything that I'm doing. And then of course, when I'm at the gym, I'm going to be doing a voiceover probably. But yeah, today I'm going to walk you guys through with the voiceover and explain any cues that I have on the exercise that I'm doing, so maybe you guys can get some sort of benefit out of watching this video. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed me talking about my program, like and subscribe and comment and do all that other bullshit. And yeah, I'm gonna get ready to go to the gym, and I will see you guys there. Alright guys, so as promised, we have a voiceover here. This is my first exercise, seated calves, as you guys know. Some cues I really like to focus on with this exercise and with calves in general is to have a very deep stretch and a very strong contraction. So the seated calf machine here, the stretch isn't as good as like, for example, like a straight leg calf machine or something like that. So I don't emphasize the stretch quite as much on this one, but I definitely do still emphasize it. I like to pause for like a second down there, and I also pause for about like a second at the top. I just find this gets your calves a really, really good stimulus. Well, right here, I am just like readjusting a little bit. So sometimes my feet slide down the little foot pad there, but this is how I like to do calves. I think if you like do calves where most people like bounce around and shit, you're gonna get no stimulus to your calves. You're gonna get all that stimulus to your fucking like tendons and ligaments in your fucking lower legs. So that's stupid. And the next exercise I have here is the bent row. This is an exercise I've had in for a while, as you guys know. This is probably my favorite back exercise. I actually changed the rep range on this one. The rep range is now 8 to 12. I had talked with Sam a little bit, and he told me to not have 6 to 10 in there for this first mesocycle, because, you know, calories will get lower, and just the amount of output I'll be able to have on big exercises like this is just going to be lower. So increasing the rep range a little bit is just going to help to increase the stimulus to fatigue ratio, which is what we really need during this cut phase. I would say execution this week wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I think I wasn't as controlled as I would like to be, but that's all right. That's something that we can improve for next week. This right here is just the machine row, as I was explaining. Pretty much on most exercises, I'm just going to show you guys one set, because otherwise this would be like a 20+ minute video every time. But yeah, this is just my first set, I believe, of these machine rows. So this is actually on the free motion machine at my gym. It's really nice because you can like really push the pad super far out and get a really deep stretch, which you can't really do super well on many other exercises besides maybe like a chest supported dumbbell row. Just anything that's chest supported, I think it's really important to really emphasize the stretch on these types of movements, because you can't really get that same kind of stretch from something like a bent row, for example, or really just many other back exercises. But this has been a movement that I've really liked and I've used in the past during both my mass phase and my cut phase way back around like a year ago or so. But yeah, this is definitely an exercise that I'd like to keep in for a while, probably throughout the entirety of this prep. Next, we have lat pull downs here. Some things I like to focus on here is to have a full range of motion. So at the top, I really try to let my scapula go. So I let it go up, and I get a really nice lat stretch that way. And I always like to have like forceful concentrics on most of my movements. So I don't really believe in like having a super controlled concentric, because then you're probably going to limit a lot of the like force output through your motor units, or the amount of force output that your motor units supply to your muscles. So I think it's important to have a strong concentric on all of your movements, and then really control the eccentric and throughout the stretch as well. So those are probably the cues that I use the most on a lat pull down. Next, we have some incline dumbbell curls. This is a movement that I fucking love. It's been a while since I've used this movement actually in my training. Recently I've been doing like an incline cable curl instead, where you kind of put the cables really low on the ground and step forward a bit. So it works similar to an incline, but I haven't done incline dumbbell curls in a while, and I really like this movement. It got me super sore last week, so I'm definitely going to be looking to keep these in for a while, probably the majority of this prep as well. As of yesterday, I am 16 weeks out. So this was actually the first workout of my prep, which was about like, a week and a half ago or so. So I'm kind of recording this voiceover a little late, but due to some things that have recently happened in my life, I do have some extra free time, and I will very likely be posting one video per week for this prep series, instead of like being my inconsistent self, like posting once every other week and shit like that. I'm really gonna try to post every week, and I think that'll be really nice for me, and I think it'll be nice for you guys too. If you guys have any like topics you want me to cover during these videos, definitely let me know, because like obviously there's gonna be a lot of talking in these videos, and if there's anything that I can help you guys out with, whether that be programming questions, whether that be exercise cueing, things like that, I would be more than happy to help. And last movement we have here are some dumbbell forearm curls. This is with 25 pounds. I believe this is my heavier dumbbell forearm curl of the week. I have like 2 days, I think, of dumbbell forearm curls, one of which is a little heavier, which is this one, and one of which is a little bit lighter, which is another day, I believe, on one of my leg days. But I think it's really important to do forearm work. This is something I've neglected a lot in the past, and I think a lot of people neglect forearm training along with calves. My number one tip for exercises like this is, if you struggle with adherence, if you struggle with being consistent with them, put that shit at the start of your workout. That's why I always do calves at the start of my workout, because otherwise I would skip that shit and then have small calves for the rest of my life. Here is just some flexing footage. I just included a little bit just to show you guys what I look like. This is what I looked like at 18 weeks out, so the first day of prep. So obviously I definitely have a decent bit of body fat to lose. And I'm not really in a big deficit yet, but actually starting this week, starting week 3 of my prep, which I'm currently in, I'm moving down to lower calories and body weight will be dropping. So really excited for that. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you later.
You getting high already? It's just 2 o'clock.
Is that late?
You know you smoke too much of that shit. That shit's gonna rob you of your ambition.
Not if your ambition is to get high and watch TV.
Ain't no time for faking jacks. Stop faking jacks. Brothers who fake